What's up, guys? It's Snots here, back with another video. It has been a while. Happy New Year, happy holidays, all that good stuff. I have been gone for a while because I did have that sickness that is going around, and I'm finally healthy, so I'm finally going to do a video. In today's video, I'm going to be going over all 30 teams, new legends that I would love to see. I'm picking one person for each team. And there's a lot of interesting names in here, a lot of names that I would love to see. If you guys are new around here, be sure to subscribe, like the video, I'd appreciate it. If you guys have a legend that has not been in MLB The Show ever or in a long time, let me know who you want to see in MLB The Show 22. Now, 90% of these guys are probably a long shot. I'm not taking a factor if they, got caught with PEDs. Just simply, I'd love to see a card for that player. So we will get right into it. One player from each team. We're going to start with, of course, Carl Crawford for the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, obviously, this is not real card art, but if you guys want to do this, you can make your own card arts on MLBTheShowZone.com, I believe the site's name is. You can make a card, you can make their attributes. So I just decided to have a little more fun with it, and I put some attributes in there. So this would be a pretty cool card. Carl Crawford. This is one of those guys that have been in the game before, but he hasn't been in the game since 2016, and that is when he retired. So yeah, man, it's been a little bit. I'd love to see him return. Our next one on the list is for the Boston Red Sox, and I picked MANNY RAMIREZ. It's been a very long time since we've seen this guy, and I'd love to see him return, simply for his bat. Wasn't the best defensively, I don't think. He would be a left fielder, but I know his hitting stats would be sick, and he'd have a nasty swing. I'd love to see a return of this big guy. Next is for the New York Yankees. This is pretty obvious, and he's kind of due. We've all been wanting a Derek Jeter card for the past couple years. He retired, I can't even remember. I think it was like 2014. It really feels like it was just yesterday that he retired, but he's definitely due. We need to see a Derek Jeter in the game. He would definitely have diamond hitting, diamond defense for sure. He wouldn't have the best power, but if he's going to get a 99 overall, you got to juice it up a little bit. Put Jeter in the game. Next is for the Blue Jays, and I went with our first pitcher, Roy Halladay. Now, I'm not sure why it glitched out like this on the top right. It showed his diamond and his pitching and his pitches. Whatever. But Roy Halladay would be great. We haven't seen Roy Halladay in some time. We'd love to see him return. He's a great pitcher, and I think he would be perfect for the meta that MLB The Show has. And he'd be a great pitcher. Next is for the Baltimore Orioles. This is Mike MUSSINA. Mike played for a few teams back in the day. A lot of people probably don't remember this guy, but in the late 90s and the early 2000s, this guy was a beast. He was one of those kind of underrated pitchers, but he was really good whenever he played. He played for a few other teams out there, but he would be perfect. Now, I told you I was going to have some fun with this. For the Chicago White Sox, I went with the man himself, Michael Jordan. Now, I think MLB The Show should do something like this. It would be so cool. Bring in the players that weren't necessarily known for being good in the sport, but they played it. Kyler Murray, he got drafted, and he almost went into the MLB. That'd be another cool card to see out there. I got a couple more in this list that you guys will see, but that would be really neat to see a Michael Jordan out there playing. I've got this one at a 90, I think it's a 92 overall. Don't juice him up. Don't give him a 99. Just give him like a lower overall diamond, just so you can have some fun with it. Michael Jordan, Chicago White Sox. That'd be awesome. Now for the Indians. Well, I guess Guardians now. I am a Cleveland fan myself, so I chose this one. Omar Vizquel with some power. Now, Omar Vizquel was not in MLB The Show 21. He was in 20, but his card was god-awful. Please give Omar Vizquel a 99 overall card with some dang power on it and some decent hitting stats. Every time Omar Vizquel comes into the game, he's pretty much unusable. I want an Omar Vizquel that you can use. This card would be awesome. Next is for the Detroit Tigers, and I went with Victor Martinez. Victor Martinez I think he retired in 2018. This would be a cool one to see. He was always a pretty good player. Always, one of those stars that didn't make the All-Star team every year, but he was always a factor on the team. This would kind of remind me of a Carlos Santana card. You got that switch bat. You got a guy that can play catcher and first and possibly third and can hit the crap out of the ball. This would be a fun one. Next one, this is a very popular one. This is for the Minnesota Twins, and that's another catcher, Joe Mauer. Joe retired in 2018. I believe that was the last time he was in the game. Ever since that happened, Twins fans have not shut up about trying to get Joe Mauer into the game, so just put him in already. I think he would be a beast of a card. I did like Joe Mauer when he played. That would be cool to see. Next is for the Houston Astros. Now, a lot of people are saying Roger Clemens and a few other players. I'm going with Lance Berkman in left field. Nice little switch bat for you. This guy has not been in the game in a while, so he's definitely due. Pretty cool card to see here. I'd love to have a switch bat. Lance Berkman was always one of those guys that was pretty good, but underrated as well. And I think he'd have a nice little swing in this game as well. Next is for the Seattle Mariners. And I went with the rookie card, Alex Rodriguez. Now, obviously, we'd love to see the Alex Rodriguez in New York or the Texas Rangers, so on and so forth. But I had other ideas for those teams. So I put in the rookie card of Alex Rodriguez, and that'd be also cool to see the other cards for the other teams that he played for. We miss Alex Rodriguez being in the game. Definitely one of the best power hitters out there. He'd definitely be effective on defense as well at third base or shortstop. We want to see Alex Rodriguez come back. We miss this guy. Next, we have the A's, and I chose the third baseman, Eric Chavez. This was the MLB 2005 cover athlete. This is one of those guys where it's like, what if he did not get injured? This guy would have been maybe a Hall of Famer if he stayed healthy. Eric Chavez was definitely fun to watch for a few years. His best year was probably around 2006, and he was a beast. I would love to see this guy return. Next is for the Angels, and I went with another pitcher here, and that's Jared Weaver. We haven't seen this guy in a little bit. I definitely remember watching this guy. He would kill the Indians back in the day anyways. But this guy was just nasty. He had some just disgusting pitches, and that would be amazing just to see him return, and I feel like he would definitely be OP in this game. Next is for the Texas Rangers, and I went with Adrian Beltre, another one of those guys that retired in 2018. There's a lot of great Hall of Fame players that retired in 2018 that we would love to see a return in MLB The Show 22. Hopefully we see at least one or two of those, but Adrian Beltre, one of those guys that were always fun to watch. He was always entertaining. Great player, great guy, Adrian Beltre. Next is for the Atlanta Braves, and this is another one of those cards where I've, never seen MLB The Show do something like this. But I'd want to see a Deion Sanders card. Deion Sanders, I'm pretty sure he played in the World Series as well. Deion Sanders was actually really good at baseball, and he could have had a long, great career with this sport. And I would love to see him in this game. One of those high contact cards with a little bit of power and a lot of speed and great at defense. Kind of similar to maybe a Kenny Lofton or something like that. But Deion Sanders would be one of those cards that we would love to see. Obviously, he's a fan favorite in Madden. He would be a fan favorite in this game too. Next is for the Philadelphia Phillies, and I'm starting to see a trend here. Another 2018 retiree, Ryan Howard at first base. And we all remember this guy. We remember this guy in the World Series with the Phillies and this great season they had when they won the World Series. This guy would hit bombs. This guy would be an amazing lefty bat at first base, and he hasn't been around in a while, but Ryan Howard will be an absolute monster in this game. Next is for the New York Mets. This is a pretty recent retiree, Jose Reyes. He retired in 2020. I believe he was with the Blue Jays, I think. But We all remember Jose Reyes when he was with the Mets. Probably one of the best shortstops in the league at that time. He was an absolute monster. Golden Glover for sure. We'd love to see his defense, but I feel like this would be one of those cards where he was amazing in real life, but not a lot of people would use him in the game. Next is the Miami Marlins. A few pretty good candidates that would go in this one, but I picked Jose Fernandez. Rest in peace. This guy was a beast when he was in the league. He passed away in 2016, I believe, but if this guy was still around, he would probably be one of the best aces in the league. And I think MLB The Show 22 should put him in the game so we can carry on his legacy. He was a monster. Jose Fernandez. Next is for the Washington Nationals / Montreal Expos. And I went with Moises Alou. This guy was one of those guys where a lot of people didn't talk about him, but he was a beast when he played. He also played for the Cubs as well. Pretty good overall player. This is one of those teams where it was hard to find a good player that has not been in the game in a while or at all. So I went with Moises Alou. Next is the Milwaukee Brewers, and I went with second baseman Ricke Weeks. I feel like a lot of people have forgotten about this guy. I definitely forgot about him until I did some further research, but I remember watching this guy play, and he was just so fun to watch. He made the All-Star team a few times, and he was a monster for a good few years, and then his career just kind of fell off. But this is one of those cards where it'd just be cool to see this type of player return. Definitely a lot of entertainment with this guy. Next, I've got the St. Louis Cardinals, and you knew you would see him. He's probably never going to be in the game, but hey, wishful thinking. I made a Mark McGwire card, 99 overall. This guy would have 125 everything on his card. This dude's hitting and swing was probably the meanest swing I have ever seen on any player ever. And you guys know, you see this guy, you pretty much know who's coming for the Cubs. But Mark McGwire, this would be the best hitting player in the game, no doubt about it. On that note, we're going to go with the Reds, and that's Pete Rose. This guy, he's not even in the Hall of Fame, and he is a Reds legend. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. But how cool would it be to see a Pete Rose return back into a video game? I don't know if he's ever been in a video game in his life, but he would be a good player. I'd like to see him. Nice little switch bat. Let's break the rules a little bit, MLB The Show 22. Let's get some real players in here. And we brought him up before. The Cubs, Sammy Sosa. Another card everyone would love to see. How cool would it be if they just came out with some kind of little promo or something like that, and it featured some of the best home run hitters of all time, and the two bosses were Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire? That would be amazing. I don't care what they did in their past. If you guys saw the season and the home run race between those two, unbelievable. That'd be awesome to see these guys. Next is the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I went with Barry Bonds. Now, I'll tell you why I did not pick him for the Giants. Because there is a player on the Giants that I feel that is a little more realistic that we would see him in the next game. So, for the Pirates, I went with the rookie Barry Bonds. Obviously, we're not going to see him in the game, but it's wishful thinking. Yeah, Barry Bonds. So now we're at the San Francisco Giants, and I chose a pitcher, Tim Lincecum. This is one of those guys where I feel like they could put him in the game. This guy was a monster. He was on the cover of MLB 2K9 or 8, one of those two. And he was easily the best pitcher in the league for a good little stretch, few years. I think he won a World Series as well. But this guy's he had some nasty pitches and probably one of the goofiest releases and windups I've ever seen. So that would be really cool to see him, Tim Lincecum. Next is for the Dodgers, Nomar Garciaparra. This one was hard. Let me know in the comments if there's any players for the Dodgers that you would like to see that hasn't been in the game in a while. I went with Nomar Garciaparra. He was a pretty likable player. Looking at the list of Dodgers players, it just seems like they're pretty much in every MLB The Show. It's hard to find one. So, Nomar Garciaparra wouldn't be a bad card. And another one of those guys that played for the Dodgers, and he almost qualified for this list for the Dodgers, but I couldn't find anybody for the Padres either. So let me know. Adrian Gonzalez for the Padres. Another one of those guys that retired pretty recently, and we'd like to see him again. Adrian Gonzalez. Next is for the Colorado Rockies, and that's Troy Tulowitzki. And we missed this guy. He played for the Blue Jays as well. Retired on a low note. He kind of had, the tail end of his career wasn't the best. But when he took off in Colorado and the first couple years in Toronto, Troy Tulowitzki, he was looking like one of the best shortstops in the league. Also, one of the better hitters in the league for sure. And I love this guy's stance. He would be really fun to use, especially with his defense and his bat. Troy Tulowitzki. And for the Arizona Diamondbacks, you knew you would see him. The big unit, Randy Johnson, at 40 years old, 6'10". This guy was a beast on the mound. Just absolutely terrifying to see him. And I know he would be just so horrifying in MLB The Show. As you guys know, we don't have very many good lefty pitchers. Randy Johnson would be perfect for this list. And I'd love to see him, with the Mariners and, maybe like a gold or silver here and there, just to use him in BR and have some fun with him. Randy Johnson. And last but not least, for the Kansas City Royals, I went with Bo Jackson. Another one of those great selling names that we would love to see in the game. He's known for his NFL career, but he was also really good in the MLB as well. He had some power to him. I believe he made the All-Star team one year, and I think that was in this 1989 or something like that. But he was a good player. I mean, he was one of those just all-around great athletes, and another one of those names that sells really well in Madden, and I can't imagine how he'd do in MLB The Show. So, Bo Jackson. But yeah, guys, that's it for this list. I went through 30 teams and picked one player I'd like to see that hasn't been in the game ever or hasn't been in the game in a while. Let me know in the comments who you guys would like to see for your favorite team. Hopefully, we get some new legends. They always release some new ones. Hopefully, we get a couple off this list. That would be very fun. Again, let me know who you want to see. Thank you for tuning in. If you're new, be sure to sub, like the video, comment, all that good stuff. I appreciate you guys. I'm out.